US President Barack Obama and his supporters have won a major victory for his healthcare law. And that was the reaction to the US Supreme Court decision that the Affordable Care Act, so-called, is constitutional. It requires all Americans to have medical insurance. His Republican rival Mitt Romney said he'll repeal the law if he beats Obama in November's presidential election.
The verdict means Obama's health care reform stays in place, giving him a huge boost in his re-election bid in this autumn's presidential vote. The opposition Republicans are expected to ramp up their campaign to retake the White House by promoting their policy of scrapping the law.
Today's decision was a victory for people all over this country whose lives will be more secure because of this law and the Supreme Court's decision to uphold it.
Opponents of the law had challenged its central requirement that all Americans must get health insurance. They said Congress's power to regulate commerce did not extend to people who chose not to buy something, that is, who don't have insurance. Chief Justice Roberts, plus the court's other conservatives, actually agreed that the law could not be justified as a use of the commerce power. But Roberts joined the court's liberals in upholding the law instead as a legitimate use of the congressional power to tax people who choose not to get health insurance. Because the Constitution permits such a tax, Roberts wrote, it is not our role to forbid it or to pass upon its wisdom or fairness. The key to the decision turned out to be the Chief Justice, a lifelong conservative appointed to the court by President George W. Bush.
A recent poll by Reuters found that 56% of Americans don't support what they've dubbed Obamacare. Republicans have vowed to revoke the health care overhaul.
This is a time of choice for the American people. Our mission is clear. If we want to get rid of Obamacare, we're going to have to replace President Obama. My mission is to make sure we do exactly that.
With just 5 months to go before the presidential election, the court's decision is sure to galvanize voters on both sides of the debate.
By a majority vote of 5-4, the justices approved virtually every aspect of the plan, including the central provision that Americans must take out health insurance or face a fine. The division within the court was matched by that among demonstrators gathered outside. Significantly, it was the Conservative Chief Justice John Roberts who swung the vote for Obama.
A big sigh of relief from President Obama and top White House officials today as the health care bill, Obamacare, is found constitutional. The Supreme Court ruling 5-4 that the individual mandate, the requirement that every American purchase health insurance, is within the bounds of the Constitution if seen as a tax. Now, that's something that President Obama argued it was not while pursuing the legislation, but he's probably never been happier to be wrong. I talked to a number of White House officials on my way to work this morning. Not one of them thought the Supreme Court was going to rule this way, so they are very, very relieved. This also takes away a talking point from Mitt Romney, who was prepared to talk about how President Obama had squandered his first term by pursuing this unconstitutional legislation. Of course, that is no longer going to be the case. President Obama will be able to argue that it's constitutional and a victory not only for him, but for the American people.
We're very, very excited about this day. It's historic.
Our Supreme Court has spoken. The matter's settled.
As Democrats on and off Capitol Hill and even overseas hailed the High Court's decision, it's a great moment to just think about what this will mean for the millions and millions of Americans who have already benefited from the Affordable Care Act. Republicans vowed to continue their fight to repeal it.
The court makes a decision about whether this law is constitutional. It doesn't mean that the law is wise. It doesn't mean that the law is good for the country. I think the real outcome of today's decision is to strengthen our resolve to make sure that this law is in fact repealed.
House GOP leaders have scheduled a repeal vote for July 11th, but it's voters in November who will ultimately decide.
This just makes the stakes of the next election all that higher.
It's crazy that in the richest country in the world, we don't have universal health care, that we have to fight to have access to health care for our citizens. And this is the first one of the major steps towards closing the gap in terms of getting more people to have access to health care. Health care is a right. We shouldn't have to stand on the steps of the Supreme Court to assure that right. But I'm so glad that today that right was affirmed and that we're going to move forward with implementation of Obamacare. This is a great, great day for the United States. I'm so excited.
When I'm alone, I'm probably going to start to cry because I'm really happy. And I'm so happy that saner minds prevailed. They looked at it with the job, doing the job they're supposed to do, not a political job. They're supposed to look at the constitutionality of the mandate, and that's what they did.
I think it's complicated, but my first reaction is that I'm really excited because the mandate is upheld, as far as I understand. And the crowd here is crazy. Everyone started chanting, and I think it's a really great day for all Americans.